and welcome guys. This is Lewis from setupforvolleyball.com. Something slightly different today. We're going to be going over the rotations, which if you've looked at my channel before, you will see that I've already put pretty much every rotation out there that you can have. But I want to focus mainly on the liberos because I didn't really touch on them in my other rotation videos. So if you are a libero and wondering where your mention was, do check out this video because it is for you. If you think that this video could be helpful for anybody else, please do consider sharing it, drop it a thumbs up, and also consider subscribing if you're after content exactly like this, because we'll be dropping lots more. Thanks guys. So if you're after a different position that's not libero, then I would suggest that you check out that other guide, because I'm really going to be going more in depth into the libero and less focusing on the other guys. I will touch upon them as I go through the guide, but like I say, I really want this to be about the liberos or liberos, not the other players. So before we dive into it, some of the benefits of using a libero instead in the back row is obviously the libero is also known as a defensive specialist, so of course it greatly increases your defensive presence when you're in the game. Just having that reliable player who really knows where they need to be, how they read the ball, how they pass the ball, it just really helps. Another thing, if you're swapping them out for someone like a middle player who arguably might not be as good a passer, having a libero in that back row, as well as other good passers like your outsides, it just means you have a really consistent pass. And obviously having a more consistent pass means the setter has a much easier job, and therefore your attackers have a much easier job, because if it all starts with the pass, if the pass is good, the setter can give a good set. And another reason, if you are swapping them out for the middle, obviously the middle for me is probably the most challenging position in terms of front row, because you have to try and help out both outside or wing players with the block. You have to be ready for all quick attacks, which means you've always got to be on time, you've always got to be up and jumping. As an outside player, yeah, you might run, but the second you see that ball go elsewhere, you just stop and get ready for it to come back or whatever. But when you're a middle, you don't get the luxury because everything's quick. You need to be up, you need to be in the air, you need to be chasing everything. So it can be nice just to have a libero to give that middle player who's just busted his guts a nice rest. So that's another fantastic reason why you can use a libero. Learning the libero rotation, like I say, generally they swap out for the middle hitters. So once the middle hitter has gone into the back row, obviously they will have to have their serve. Once they've had their serve and have lost the point, the libero will swap out for them. So let's dive into these rotations. So this is a sort of standard rotation 1 lineup that you would see. So your middle would be opposite your middle here, obviously. So your middle would be at 6 and your other middle would be at 3. If we want the libero to swap out for the middle, then you're going to pull in your libero player here and they will adopt this first position. And then after that, we are going to get into our base positions ready to receive this serve. So obviously we don't want our setter receiving the ball. So the libero is going to step right slightly, and this outside player is going to come back to hide this setter here. So we're just going to push the setter out of the pass, make sure they don't take that first ball, and the setter can then run around, get in position without worrying about the pass. They can take the second ball, they can be ready to set the player. So as I said, we're going to have our libero just step right and cover the setter a little bit. The outside player who is at the front court is also going to step back and cover the setter. Our middle and our opposite are going to stack in this left corner, just so that these guys or gals aren't affected by these players standing in the way. They've got a nice clear vision of the ball and they can all be ready to set the ball. The second that ball is served and it's passed up, everybody can rotate. So let's just say in this occasion the libero does set the first ball. Ball comes over the net, the middle can start rotating, setter can start creeping forward, outside can start creeping forward the second they know this libero is taking it. This outside can just hang around by the libero here. Libero passes the ball, second that ball is put up in the air, libero and outside can switch. Setter's going to be in this spot ready, middle is ready to hit, outside ready to hit. Playing through the outside position here is ready to hit, and the outside can step up here ready. So I've said it in all of my other videos, and I will say it again. When I have a middle player in the back row who obviously in this occasion is swapping out for the Libero. I like to have them at position 5, even more so when you have a Libero in the back row. Liberos are defensive specialists. The most common set in volleyball is to the opposition's 4 or your own team's 4 position, which would be the outside hitter. Outside hitters are generally very, very good at hitting because they need to be relied upon in a lot of situations. So if an outside player on the opposition is hitting, they would be hitting from this position here, which means their nice hard driven angle would be straight here. So you can see having our Libero as our defensive specialist passing from this 5 position here gives us a really good chance of getting a good ball in, and gives us a really good chance of getting the ball up in general. So I like to have the Libero at position 5, not position 6. And also in transition, it's nice to have this outside player in the 6th position because they can then come through and hit a pipe, which is a backcourt middle attack. So, for example, if they do hit a really good hit, the Libero gets the ball up, but the Libero can only get it up to, say, here. The setter then doesn't have to force a ball to the wings. They can just put the ball up in the middle here for the outside to come and hit. It's just a nice outlet. It means we have a good defensive specialist in that power line. It also means we have a hitting outlet if we are struggling. So that is rotation 1. Moving on to rotation 2, we've all moved clockwise 1 position. So the Libero that was at position 6 has moved to position 5. And then this is how we would want to stack. So again, not too concerned about these front court players because I'm not focusing on them, I'm focusing on the Libero in this occasion. The only thing that is different with this, obviously your outside here at position 4 is going to come back and help pass because again, we don't want this setter to take the first ball. We want them to have the second ball set a player in the front row or the back row if needs be. So what we're going to do is we're going to push our Libero round to pass basically in place of the setter. The setter can move all the way up here, providing they don't cross the opposite player. So as long as they don't go in front of the opposite player, or to the right side of this outside, or the left side of the Libero, they are fine. So the setter is going to stay between these 2 players, like I just said, move up here, not cross this opposite, they're in rotation still. To make sure we've got a nice passing line, the outside in the front row is just going to slide back and take this passing position where the Libero is, making sure that they stay in front of the Libero because they can't cross behind them. And so just to recap, opposite and middle will stack over here out of the way so none of these players are obstructed. The setter's going to move all the way up, providing they stay between these 2 players here, the Libero and the outside, and don't cross the opposite. So they're out of the way, ready to set. And then you've got your outside who's going to slide back and pass. Libero's just going to stay in this deep 6th position here, ready to pass. Outside is going to stay where they are. When that ball is served and it's coming over the net, let's say in this situation that the Libero is passing the ball again. So the second that the outside knows that the Libero is taking the ball, the outside can start creeping up. The second the ball crosses the net, the middle is going to come around into this middle position and get ready. The opposite is going to take a few step backs and get on this wing, ready to hit. Setter's going to stay basically where they are. They might just take a step up closer to the net slightly. And then in the back row, obviously this outside player that was passing in the back row has gone forward. Libero is going to run across to position 5, get ready to cover the blocks. And the outside player is just going to sort of step into the centre of the court a bit more and up to this 3 metre line. And that is rotation 2. On to rotation 3. This is where things get a little bit complicated. So obviously in this rotation, the Libero would be moving to the front court. Liberos are defensive specialists, they don't play in the front row. So what would happen in this situation is the Libero would come off and the middle player that was off the court is going to step on and join the front row. Now, the middle player that was in the front row, who has obviously moved to the back court, as you can see here, is going to serve the ball. They will stay on court until they lose the point, so until the other team sides out. Once the other team has sided out, this middle player is going to come off the court, the libero is going to step on and sub on for them. And then in this position, the libero and the outside are going to stay as they are. But again, we don't want our setter in the pass, so the setter is going to slide up nice and close to the middle here. And the outside is actually going to come all the way back here and pass. Now the outside in this rotation can't go to the left side of the middle, and they can't go behind the outside. They're the two people that will affect where they can stand. So to counteract this, the middle is going to push over to this left corner up here. The setter, who is affected by this outside and this middle, they can't go to the right of this outside, which they're not going to, because as you can see they're stacking in this left corner, and they can't go in front of this middle player. So the middle is just going to come up nice and high in the corner, setter's going to come up in behind them, outside can drop back and pass and not break the rotation rule. So this is how we will stand ready to receive. Middle and setter are stacking, opposite stays where they are, ready to hit the ball. Libero and outside stay where they are for this one, and the outside, who is at the 3 position, will come back and pass from 5. Second that ball crosses, let's just use the outside pass in this one instead this time. So the second that these players see the outside is taking this ball, this outside can start creeping forward into position 4. The setter is just going to run across the court, get ready to set. Middle is going to drop back into the middle here and watch and wait for the set. The opposite's going to stay where they are, ready to hit. As this outside passes this ball in, Libero is going to shoot across the court into this base 5 position where they've always been, and then we will have the same setup that we have seen time and time again. On to rotation 4. So in rotation 4, essentially we are back where the libero started. The only difference in this one is that the opposite has moved back court and the setter has moved front court. So now obviously we are down 1 hitter in the front row, so we now have 1 setter always in the front row and 2 hitters always in the front row. But other than that, the rotations are going to be very similar, and you're going to realise pretty quickly that the rotations for you don't change very much as a libero. So much like in the first rotation, we're going to hide one of the players. In this occasion it's going to be the opposite, because the opposite needs to worry about getting ready for a hit. They don't need to worry about trying to pass the ball here. And generally the outsides are going to be stronger passers, and obviously the libero, being a defensive specialist, should really be a good passer. So in this particular occasion, the opposite is going to step back, so they are hidden from the passing line. And then the libero and the outside are both just going to step across the court to the right. So the libero is going to pass from the 1 position, the outside is going to pass from the 6 position, and then much like in the last rotation, this outside we want to pass and we want them to get to their preferred position. So to ensure we can do this, the setter and the middle, obviously both front court now, they're going to stack in this left corner. Providing the setter stays to the left of the middle, we will still be in rotation. And providing the outside stays to the right of this middle player and they don't drop behind this opposite player, they will stay in rotation too. So obviously I've already said that the opposite here is going to be stepping back and hidden from the pass anyway, so the outside really would struggle to get behind the opposite. It would actually be impressive if they were behind the opposite in this rotation. So the opposite will step back, libero and outside will step across. This outside is going to come all the way back to the 5 position to pass. The middle and the setter are going to stack nice and tight in this corner to make sure the outside stays to the right of the middle and they don't obstruct the view of these passers. Opposite hidden, libero outside step across. Outside comes all the way from position 2 to position 5. Setter and middle stack. Once the ball is served, if it's going to the, let's go back to the libero in this one. So as the ball comes over the net and they know it's going to the libero, this outside will creep forward, get ready in the 4 position to hit. Setter will shoot across the court, get ready in position 2. The middle is going to just drop back into this middle position, get ready for the hit. And the opposite is going to move slightly forward here, just in case the setter needs to use the back row. They may just put the ball up behind so the opposite can be ready to attack from this 3 meter line position here. So once the rotations have taken place, our libero is going to shoot to position 5, outside is going to stay at 6, opposite obviously at position 1, middle and outside ready to hit in their respective positions, and the setter at position 2. And that is position 4. So as a libero, all you need to remember really is go to position 5. If you just remember that, you should be good to go. So on to rotation 5. So the libero, you have now moved from position 6 to position 5, so you're already in your ideal position. However, we have the opposite in the pass, which we don't really want. So the opposite again is going to hide behind here somewhere. You as the libero will step across to 6th position here to pass. And then your outside has got a nice easy job here. They haven't got to worry about anybody else really. All they need to do is stay to the left of the setter and make sure they stay in front of the libero. So they're just going to come back and pass, making sure they stay in front of this libero here. And then the setter in the middle are just going to stack over on this right hand side, making sure the middle is to the right of the setter. Really what we're trying to do here is make sure that the setter is in their ideal position and that the opposite doesn't have to worry about passing, so they can get ready for this quick behind attack if they need to. So opposite's hidden, libero steps across, outside comes back, setter and middle stack in the corner. As that ball comes over the net, let's say it's going to the libero again. I mean, most teams will probably try and avoid serving the libero, but I like using the libero as the example in this, so I'm going to keep doing so. The ball will come over the net. Libero is going to take this first pass. The second that ball comes over the net, and these players know they don't have to react, the middle is going to start creeping into this middle position here. Outside is going to start creeping up to position 4. Libero is going to pop this ball up nice and high for the setter to have lots of time to decide where they want to set that ball. Second they've passed the ball, the libero is going to step across, outside is going to step across, opposite is going to come round the back and get ready for this hit here if they need to be. So once they've all rotated, you will have your libero at 5, outside at 6, opposite at 1, setter in the 2 spot ready to go again, middle and outside in their preferred hitting positions. So on to rotation 6. Again, with this rotation, if we've won the point, the libero would be moving front court, which as I've said, the libero does not play front court. So sorry liberos, if you have aspiring dreams of hitting, you will need to switch positions, I'm afraid. But anyway, moving on. The middle is going to sub in for the libero. So the libero would move front court, but obviously they don't play front court. So the middle is going to step on for them, and then the middle that was at the front row last time, who has moved back, is going to take the serve. Once the middle has served and the team has lost the point, the middle will rotate out, the libero will rotate in, and we will be in our final position. So this will be our starting lineup, or this would be the lineup for rotation 6. Again, we want to push the opposite out of the pass, and we want this outside player to come back and pass. So the outside player here needs to make sure they stay in front of the opposite outside player, and they need to make sure they stay to the right of this middle. So to make sure this happens, the middle is going to move over a little bit to give the outside a bit more room to pass. The outside is going to come and stand where the opposite currently is, ensuring they stay just a touch in front of their counterpart with the other outside at position 6. And then the libero is going to stay where they are passing, outside is going to stay where they are passing. So the only players that really move is the opposite and the outside, because the middle is essentially in the right spot, but they will just hug this sideline to make sure these guys have unrestricted view of the ball, and also to make sure that the outside stays in rotation. So we've got our setter at 2 ready to go, middle is at 4 where they are naturally lined up anyway. They're just going to hug the sideline a little bit more to give this outside player some room. So the outside, who is at 3, can come back and pass at 5. Opposite is going to hide, outside and libero stay where they are. As that ball comes over the net, let's use the outside as the passing example. Second that ball comes over the net, and the middle and the setter know they aren't needed to get any short balls, the middle is going to start creeping into this middle position here. The outside player who's stepped back to help pass
is going to start moving up to position 4. Your outside is going to pop that ball up. The second the outside pops the ball up, Libero is going to dart across to position 5. Outside is going to step up ready, and the opposite is going to wrap around the back of everybody and get ready for the backcourt hit if needed. So in our last rotation, Libero is at 5, outside is at 6, opposite at 1, setters at 2, middle at 3, outside at 4. So hopefully guys you can see that the Libero rotations aren't too difficult, because for the most part you do kind of stand where you would line up naturally. All you need to really think about when you are the Libero in the back row, especially in serve receive, is that you don't really want, I mean, unless your opposite is an exceptionally good passer, in which case you may push someone else out, but for the most part you definitely don't want your setter in the passing line, because you want them ready to take that second ball, and you don't want your opposite in the passing line. So if either of them are next to you, just know that you need to step across and push them at the pass, and then after that rotate to 5. Now it is worth noting that I said at the start of the video that for me I've always put the Libero at 5, and I would put my outside at 6. Not all coaches will play this way, and if they don't play that way, that's absolutely fine. They may find it works better in a different rotation. If that is the case, you will likely be at the deep 6 position, so for every rotation that you've seen, just swap yourself with the outside that's next to you and you should be good to go. And it really is as simple as that, guys. I know it's confusing and it seems a bit overwhelming because there's 6 separate rotations, but as a Libero, essentially you really only have sort of 3 rotations that you need to worry about, and then 3 rotations just repeat. The only thing that really changes is that when the setter is backcourt, you essentially don't have 3 in the back row, because you have your 3 hitters and your setter front row trying to set. So obviously the only real difference is that the opposite is a dedicated back row player when they're in the back row, whereas the setter kind of cheats a little bit more to the front row to get ready to set. So that's what you really need to know. Hopefully you guys found this helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and share it with anybody else that you think it might help. If you enjoy content like this, please do consider subscribing, as we're going to be dropping a lot more videos like this one, and we're also going to be dropping a lot more sort of IRL videos coming soon, so you'll be seeing a lot more of my face, and also a very good friend of mine who's a very good volleyball player. He's going to be helping me out with a lot of the videos, so you'll be seeing him too. So yeah, hopefully you guys like this, and I will speak to you guys next time. Goodbye.
I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now.